तत्परं पर्याय विद्महे ज्ञानलिङ्गेश्वराय धीमहि तन्नो गुरुः प्रचोदयात्। ओम योग महर्षि डॉक्टर स्वामी गीतानंद गिरी गुरु महाराज की जय। ओम योगचारिणी पुदुवै कलैमामणि पुदुवै शक्ति अम्मा जी मीनाक्षी देवी भवनानी गुरु माता की जय। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। नमस्ते, स्वागतम, सुप्रभात, शुभ दिनम, salamat pagi, bonjour, buongiorno, buonasera, buonanotte, huia more, boreida, kio horas, ayubovan, ayushman baba. Welcome to the 76th scintillating Saturdays today, celebrating the birth of a great yogi, the Christ yogi. Yes, Swamiji always considered Christ as one of the yogis in the wonderful, timeless tradition of yoga itself. Often, Swamiji used to say that Christ in India may have been Matsyendranath also, for all we know. All the beautiful teachings of this culture are teachings that tell us Yadum Ure Yavaram Kelir Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, the whole world, well, the whole universe is one family. So all of you who are celebrating Christmas today or Christmas Eve, well, Merry Christmas and jingle bells, jingle all the way. Huh? You know, on Christmas morning, Ammaji would always do a special set of jatis in the yoga class, and everybody did the jingle bells, jingle all the way. Kriyas used to go on and celebrate the beautiful birth of definitely one of the most amazing yogis of the timeless tradition. Swamiji used to say that the three wise men who came to Jesus' birth were basically the highest three chakras. The chakras including the Swaminana, Muktana, the Trikuti, that these were the three centers that open up at every birth and are represented by the wise men who come to the birth of baby Jesus. Today, we are looking at the topic, the yoga of responsibility. Responsibility is a very tough word for so many people these days. Everybody wants freedom, but no one wants responsibility. Everybody wants power, but no one wants responsibility. Well, they always have to go together. With greater power comes greater responsibility. With greater freedom comes greater responsibility. With greater good fortune comes greater responsibility. One of the most important teachings that Swamiji has given us is that the bedrock of a yogic life, the bedrock of a yogic life is dharma. And dharma can be understood as the responsibility for which we are born. The individual responsibility for which we are born becomes our swadharma, and we need to fulfill it through the purushartha, which is the self-effort that we make as an individual. And this is why we need to realize that we are born to fulfill dharma, our swadharma, and by fulfilling our dharma, we fulfill ourselves. Responsibility. Let's look at this word a bit. Swamiji and Ammaji have always liked to play with language. And so responsibility is to be split into the ability to respond. Respond ability becomes responsibility. So the ability to respond in the appropriate manner. To respond means to respond in an appropriate manner, whereas to react is always in an inappropriate manner. And most of the time, if you look at our lives, we are a reactive species. The human species is a reactive species. Constantly reacting to all the sensory stimuli that come into our nervous system. And this is why we have something called the reflexes, which are vital for survival. And so the moment you see something, you react to it. You hear something, you react to it. You taste something, you react to it. You feel something, you react to it. And we are constantly reacting rather than responding. So what is the difference between reactionary behavior and responsibility, or responsiveness and responsive appropriate behavior? So reactive inappropriate behavior, responsive appropriate behavior. Why I'm using the word appropriate is, if you look at dharma, the key word of dharma is responsiveness and the ability to respond as appropriate. When you respond in the appropriate manner in your life, you are living dharma. That is the basic foundation. So whenever there is a stimulus that comes into our nervous system through the sensory inputs, these inputs come to our spinal cord level. And at the spinal cord level, every sensory stimulus would lead to a motor response. So you have one neuron, the sensory neuron, bringing the sensory stimulus to your spinal cord. Sensory neuron bringing the sensory stimulus to your spinal cord. You have a motor neuron taking your motor response. They call it a motor response, but I am saying it's a reaction because it is not coming up to your cortical level. It is just happening automatically. So when it happens automatically, it is a reaction, it's not a response. But technically they call it a motor response. So you have a sensory stimulus, sensory neuron bringing the stimulus to your spinal cord. There is an interneuron that takes the impulse from the sensory neuron, takes it and carries it to the motor neuron, and then you have the motor response or the motor activity. Sensory motor. So sensory motor, there is a sensation and you react to it. Sensation, react, sensation, react, sensation, react. It's called a reflex arc. This is the reflex arc that is often the most important thing happening for most people. What is happening? Sensation leads to a motor activity, and this is coordinated by an interneuron. That is the connector neuron connecting sensory neuron to motor neuron. Spinal cord level. Just happening automatically. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to contemplate about it. You don't have to make a decision. It is happening automatically. Now, if you start to bring your mindfulness, consciousness, awareness into your life, that is what yoga is all about. Mindfulness, awareness, consciousness. When that yoga bhavana, a yogic perspective, a yogic attitude starts to come in, and the yoga drishti, the yogic perspective starts to grow in you, or you grow into the yogic perspective, the yoga drishti through the yoga bhavana, at that point, you start to realize in the space between the sensation and the motor activity. So between that sensory neuron and the motor neuron, there is the interneuron, and you realize that you have the power to actually change the way you respond. You realize you have the power to change the way you respond, and this is where the power of choice comes in. This is where Viveka comes in. This is where Vairagya comes in. What is happening? The same sensation is coming. Now earlier, in the non-yogic life, a sensation comes in, a motor response is induced without you having any awareness, any mindfulness, any consciousness of it at all. An unconscious life. Unaware survival life. Just going on. Now suddenly the yoga bhavana, suddenly the yoga drishti comes in and you realize, I have a choice. Yes, we all, you, me, every one of us has a choice on how we will choose to respond to the stimulus. Stimulus has not changed. The stimulus is still the same. But what has happened is we have empowered ourselves through yoga. We have empowered ourselves through yoga by developing the power of choice, the superpower of being human. Remember that buddhi? We want to become a buddhiman manushya. Buddhiman manushya, one who's endowed with the viveka, who realizes that same interneuron, there was a interneuron, connecting neuron, integrative neuron, connecting the sensory neuron and the motor neuron at the spinal level. There can be another interneuron coming from up here, from the cortical area. A neuron can come down and say, do not react. Do not react. This is where the power of Viveka and Vairagya comes in. Vairagya gives you the gap. Vairagya gives you that space. The space, 45 inches. 45 inches between the bottom of your spinal cord and your brain. 45 inches. Is it 45 inches? Centimeter and inches. The base of your spine to your brain. That's all. That's the difference. That's the distance you have to travel for Vairagya to occur. Because at the spinal cord level, what has happened? At the spinal cord level, what has happened? There is the reflexive, reactionary, unconscious, unaware behavior, which is adharmic, adharma. But then there is the dharmic behavior, the dharma which implies you have now taken the responsibility by developing an ability to respond appropriately. And that comes when the prefrontal cortex comes alive. When the prefrontal cortex, which is the seat of Vairagya, metacognitive, dispassionate objectivity. What has happened? You have looked at that stimulus, that sensory stimulus, and you have made a choice. Is it appropriate to respond with a motor impulse or not? And if you are to respond with a motor impulse, what type of impulse? You have your knob, the volume knob. The volume knob, you can put it on mute and you can put it at 100% volume. Whether your motor response will be muted or whether your motor response will be 100%, well, the choice lies here. And that is why the importance of Vairagya is always emphasized in the Yoga Darshana. Because it is through Vairagya that you have created a gap, and in that gap, what is the gap? The spinal cord to the cerebral cortex. 45 inches. That gap from the bottom of your spine to your brain. That's all the gap you need. And that is why for that gap, often they say, when you are not sure what to do, take in a deep breath and count to 10. Take in a deep breath and count to 10. The moment you breathe deeply, the moment you choose to breathe deeply, the moment you choose to slow down your breath, you have grown in responsibility. Because instead of letting the brainstem tell you how you are to live by governing your breathing, you have, through your cortical choice, taken the power away from the brainstem and said, I will choose how I want to breathe. I want to breathe slow, I want to breathe deep, and I want to hold my breath when needed. And you breathe in, you hold the breath, and you breathe out. And suddenly, the very stimulus that was causing the reactionary motor impulse, suddenly you have taken the control away. You have taken that control away by mindful, aware, conscious living, which is in tune with Dharma. Now let's come back to what the Indian culture, Sanatana Dharma, tells us. Sanatana Dharma tells us that Dharma, Artha, Kama, Mokshanam, Chaturvida, Purushartham. We as a human being, we are Purusha, and that is why Ishvara is a Vishesha Purusha, beyond Klesha Karma. We are a Purusha, we are a monad, we are that drop, that entity. We are a Purusha, and the Purusha has a purpose for incarnating. Purushartham. Artha means meaning. We have a meaning for incarnating as an individual, and in order to fulfill the purpose, to fulfill the meaning for which we have incarnated, we need to first live a life of Dharma. So Dharma is appropriate, mindful living. Dharma is appropriate, mindful living. Thinking as you are meant to think, speaking as you are meant to speak, acting as you are meant to act. Amma used to define Dharma as doing the right thing for the right person at the right time in the right way. All of it has to fit together. Doing the right thing at the wrong time or the right thing for the wrong person, it is not Dharma. It becomes Adharma. Adharma. Dharma implies mindfulness. It implies Viveka and Vairagya. And that is why when you start to live in tune with Dharma, what you are doing is you are living as appropriate. Appropriate mindful living. Yes, Meena, you have noted it perfectly. Appropriate mindful living is Dharma. And this Dharma changes depending on what phase of life we are in. Again, Sanatana Dharma, the wisdom of the great rishis, master scientists, beyond compare. What did they say? The first 27 years of your life, you will have a Dharma. What is that Dharma? Brahmacharya Dharma. Where your Dharma for the first 27 years of life is to focus on living in tune with Brahma, the Brahman itself. Understanding what life is about, imbibing the wisdom and the knowledge, practicing that which needs to be practiced, developing your skill set, developing your competencies for life. All of this is your Dharma as a Brahmacharya. Under the guidance of the Guru, in the Gurukula, you are developing the capacity to understand everything about life so that you can then live life as you are meant to live. The Brahmacharya Dharma. Then, after 27, for the next 27 years, grahastha dharma. So you are now a householder. Graha, hasta. Hasta means to hold in your hands the graha, the house. You are the householder phase. Now, what is the grahastha dharma? Earlier, your only dharma was to imbibe all the essence of wisdom, go from vidya to jnana to prajna, and understand life. Now you have to start living life. You cannot depend on somebody else. So you have to become someone who is responsible not only for yourself but for your family, your immediate family, and your society and the world. This is why the grahastha dharma is not only to take care of yourself, to take care of those who are part of your immediate family, as well as society and as well as the whole world. So the whole world runs on the householder. Grahastha dharma. Then, now that you have fulfilled it, hopefully you fulfilled your brahmacharya dharma when you were brahmacharya. Hopefully you fulfilled your dharma of grahastha when you are grahastha. Now if you have done both of those, now you are ready for the vanaprastha dharma. Vana is the forest. So now what happens? You can take a step away from active life. You are still part of society but on the fringe of society. And now your dharma is to relax, recuperate, and be there for those who need you. When people come to you for advice, you advise them with your experience. You are there, but you are not actively involved. The active involvement is the dharma of the grahastha. And then slowly you are fulfilling your dharma, and now when you come to the age of 81, you are ready to give up everything, let go of everything, and move into the sannyasa. The sannyasa ashrama, where now your dharma is to renunciate everything. Give up everything. You are not attached to anything anymore. And now you can work towards that highest liberation of kaivalya, mukti, moksha, nirvana. And you are working towards that. That is now your dharma. The dharma of a brahmacharya is different than the dharma of a grahastha, is different than the dharma of a vanaprastha, is different than a dharma of a sannyasi. What a beautiful structure has been given. But however, what has happened is we have totally messed this up. And sannyasis are trying to live the brahmacharya dharma, brahmacharis are trying to live vanaprastha dharma, grahastis are living some other dharma, and everything has become adharma. Dharma is the foundation of humanity, and no wonder humanity is shaking at its foundation. This is why it is so important that we have to regain our perspective, the right perspective. We have to realize that there is a dharma to be fulfilled at each stage of our life. When I am a child, my dharma is different than when I am an adult. My dharma is different when I get married. My dharma is different when I start to become a father. My dharma is different as a student. My dharma is different as a teacher. And we have to grow into our dharma by becoming mindful of it. And as we become mindful of our dharma, we take on the responsibility by developing the ability to respond for each challenge that is going to be there. And again, we have to be ready for it. Yes, Terry. This is why developing our competency to fulfill our dharma is part of our dharma. And this is why taking responsibility is a core element of what a yogic life is all about. The moment we start saying, oh, it is their fault and his fault and her fault and my parents' fault and society's fault and my guru's fault and my student's fault and my dog's fault and my cat's fault, it's ayoga. Because yoga is all about taking responsibility. Yoga is responsible living. We need to start to take responsibility. But again, we also have to know where our responsibility ends. So you are not to be like Atlas trying to carry the whole world on your shoulder. Even Hercules will not help you. See, it is not your job to carry the world on your shoulder. But you have parts of the world that you are to carry. Don't forget those parts. That is what Dharma is all about. Because again, Sanatana Dharma, our pan-Indian traditional culture that is timeless, has reiterated the fact that when you live your Dharma, the other three will happen on their own. Artha, Kama, Moksha. Remember, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Mokshanam, Chaturvida Purushartham. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha are the Chaturvida, 4 types of Purushartha. The first is Dharma. Because without Dharma, if you try to fulfill Artha, Kama, Moksha, it will become adharmic. And this is why fulfilling our Dharma will automatically enable material prosperity to occur. When you fulfill your Dharma, righteousness. What is righteousness? Again, Swamiji and Ammaji have told us. Right useness. Using everything in the appropriate manner. Using your mind, using your body, using your emotions, using everything you are endowed with in the appropriate manner. Right useness is righteousness. So when righteousness becomes part and parcel of every breath of your life, that is where you fulfill Dharma. Automatically the material prosperity will come. Abundance of the material needs will be fulfilled. Automatically the emotional needs will be fulfilled. Kama. Again, your spiritual needs will be fulfilled. Moksha. When Dharma becomes part and parcel of your every breath, Artha, Kama, Moksha will happen on their own. You don't have to go looking for them. What you have to do is fulfill your Dharma. This is a similar message to the message given by Thiruvalluvar, the Tamil saint, who has given us the Thirukkural, which is a universal teaching. And he tells us through 3 parts. Aram, Porul, Inbam. Aram is the same as Dharma, righteousness. Porul is Artha. Inbam is Kama. He doesn't even talk about moksha because for him, if these 3 are taken care of, moksha will occur spontaneously, automatically. What beautiful teachings are there in this culture. Similarly, Kanayan Pungodiyan, he tells us in the Purana, beautiful teachings. Yadum ure yavarum kelir. The whole world is one family. All people are my kinsmen. And then he gives 2 important lines. Thidum nandrum pirar taravara. Both the good and the bad, or rather here thidum nandrum. So that bad and the good are not given by others. Thidum nandrum pirar taravara. Whatever good or bad happens to you is not because of somebody else's fault. It is part and parcel of your human experience. And he says, Nodalum tanidalum. Whether you suffer from it or you transcend the suffering, Avatro lies deep within you. Every one of us is empowered to have the choice whether we are going to suffer in dukkha or whether we are going to transcend the dukkha and move into our sukhasthanam. It is not somebody else's job to give us sukha. No. It is our responsibility, our dharma, to transcend the dukkha and move into sukha. Because we are stuck in the dukkha because of avidya. And that is why again Maharishi Patanjali has given us a very clear-cut pathway here. He says that dukkha which is there, you have to address it. You have to realize it is there. The first part is to accept there is dukkha. Then the next part is to say, what can I do about it? And then you start doing what you need to do to move from dukkha to sukha. This is the pathway for which viveka is required. And this is why the yoga of responsibility is where we start to grow. We start to grow. How do we grow? Well, this is something that Abraham Maslow has also talked about. In his hierarchy of needs, you have the physiological needs. You have all these needs of, food, all of that. Then you need the safety, shelter, job, whatever. But then self-esteem and all comes. And finally, self-actualization. Self-actualization where you start to actually have the capacity to make choices in your life. You start to address the problems by seeking solutions. In the self-actualization stage of our life, when we start to manifest self-actualization, we start to become someone who focuses on solutions, not problems. This is where that growth, out of blaming everyone to taking responsibility and then growing from dukkha to sukha. This is the jump that we are making from spinal cord, reactive living to cerebral, responsive, reflective, intuitive living. This is the jump that needs to be made in consciousness, in growth. Because as long as we are blaming others, we cannot grow. As long as you outsource your happiness, as long as you outsource your health, as long as you outsource your happiness, you cannot be healthy and happy. But that's what we have done. We have outsourced it. I will be happy if she marries me. I will be happy if he gives me that. So many people are unhappy today. They didn't get the Christmas gift they wanted. You are alive. You are alive. What better gift do you need? And of course, if you have heard of yoga, what better gift do you need? If you have a chance to live yoga, what better gift do you need? Plastic playthings of the modern world, they are all temporary. They are all limited. They all pull us into dukkha. When we start to become self-satisfied, Atma Vashye Videyatma, you move beyond Raga Dvesha Viyuktaistu Vishayanindriyaschan, Atma Vashye Videyatma Prasadam Adhigacchati. That tranquility will come, that clarity will come when you start to become self-satisfied. How can you become self-satisfied? By taking responsibility for yourself. Not abdicating responsibility. The moment you abdicate responsibility, I cannot do it, somebody has to do it for me. Gone. Finito. Finished. The moment you say, I will stand up to be counted. The moment you say, I will make a change, I will be the change. I will empower myself by utilizing my power of choice to choose how I am going to respond rather than react. How am I going to respond? And then you start to grow in that responsiveness. You start to grow in that ability to respond, and your responsibility, your ability to respond grows. As you grow in your responsibility, you are going to grow in consciousness. That is the growth we need. That is the growth that we are born for. I often think that if only Abraham Maslow had met some of our great rishis, he would have realized that you have to go beyond that self-actualization into self-realization. Atma Darshana. When you can realize yourself, Atma Darshana. What a beautiful state. Uddharet Atma Atmanam. Lifting the self by the self to realize who you are. Because when you realize yourself, you become your best friend. And if you don't realize yourself, you can be your worst enemy. Whether you are going to be your best friend or whether you're going to be your worst enemy, well, it depends on you taking the responsibility to lift the self by the self. Uddharet Atma Atmanam na Atmanam avasadayet. Atmaiva hi Atmano bandhu Atmaiva vipu atmanah. What a beautiful teaching by Yogeshwar Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. A Dharma Shastra, a Yoga Shastra. The Bhagavad Gita is not just a religious scripture. It is the teaching of Dharma itself. Because it is at Dharma Kshetra Kurukshetra where the Bhagavad Gita is given by Yogeshwar Krishna. Not in a hermitage, but on the battlefield. That Arjuna, it is your dharma to be a Kshatriya. Get up and fight the battle for which you are born, to fulfill that for which you have been born. What beautiful teachings. To be what you are to be. That is what that self-actualization is, that Maslow talks about. And then you go beyond that self-actualization, because your responsibility doesn't end there. Your responsibility goes all the way till moksha, kaivalya, nirvana, mukti and kaivalya. You have to go there. And at that point where you realize yourself, where you have eradicated the klesha, karma, vipaka, you go into that state of being Ishvara itself. This is where the rishis went one step further than where Maslow went. Self-actualization and then self-realization. To be responsible. To be responsible, I think, is one of the key elements of being human. Responsible behavior, responsible thinking, responsible action. That is what the Buddha calls right action, right thinking, his 8th path is all right, this. That is dharma again, appropriate. As Ammaji, doing the right thing for the right person at the right time in the right way, then it becomes dharma. You have to be able to know what to do. That's the tough one, right? How do we know what to do? Go inside. All the answers lie within. Answers don't lie outside. Yes, Google has some answers, but still, you have to go in. You have to go into that inner Google. You have to go into that inner Google. It's our responsibility to overcome the challenges. Because the universe will keep on throwing challenges at us. These challenges are our examinations. They are testing whether we are fit for our aspiration. Are we fit for that highest aspiration or not? That is the challenge that is being thrown by the universe. And that is why a song that so many years ago I composed, thanks to one of my students asking me a question about this. Sodi paduve avan kaidan, Sodi paduve avan kaidan, Sadi paduve nam kaidan. Sodi paduve avan kaidan. The divine, the universe, its job is to test us. And yes, Lodika, surprise tests just when we don't expect them. Because we have to be responsive. Can we respond in that moment? That is what life is testing. Not that it says, okay, tomorrow I'll give you a test. Okay, you prepare for it. If I give you an immediate test, are you ready for it? Have you developed the core competencies? Is your skill set, is your toolkit up to date, up to the mark? And so the universe is testing us. That's its job. What is our job? What is our dharma? Sadippaduve nam kadan. We are there to overcome it and transcend all of this into that higher state. Sodippaduve avan kadan, Sadippaduve nam kadan. Sodippaduve avan kadan, Sadippaduve nam kadan. Sodippaduve avan kadan, Sadippaduve nam kadan. Sodippaduve avan kadan. Then what we have to realize, everything is ultimately the divine. And we cannot do anything without the blessings of the divine. Even to surrender to the divine, we need the grace of the divine. What a beautiful concept of Ishvara Pranidhana. அவன் அருளாளே அவன் தாழ் வணங்கி, அவன் அருளாளே அவன் தாழ் வணங்கி, சிந்தை மகிழ நாம் செயல்படுவோமே. May we do what we need to do in a state of blissful surrender. Ishvara Pranidhana. அவன் அருளாளே அவன் தாழ் வணங்கி, அவன் அருளாளே அவன் தாழ் வணங்கி, சிந்தை மகிழ நாம் செயல்படுவோமே. சிந்தை மகிழ்ந்து நாம் செயல்படுவோமே. சோதி பதுவே அவன் கடன் சாதிப்பதுவே, நம் கடன் சோதி பதுவே. What do we need for this to happen? மனதில் உறுதியும் வாக்கில் இனிமையும். We need to have that steadfastness in our heart. மனதில் உறுதியும் வாக்கில் இனிமையும். Sweetness in our communication. Manadil, these are verses from Bharadiyar. Avan Arulale is from our Tamil tradition. I brought all these traditions together in this composition. Manadil udiyum vakilinimayun ninaivu nalladayum valarpome. May we develop the steadfastness in our heart. May we develop sweetness in our communication, and may we develop goodness in our thoughts. Manadil udiyum vakilinimayum நினைவில் நல்லதையும் வளர்ப்போமே. திறம்பட முயற்சி எடுப்போமே. May we make efforts that are of the skillful nature. திறம்பட முயற்சி எடுப்போமே. அனைத்தையும் மகிழ்வாய் ஏற்போமே. With happiness, with grace, with acceptance, may we accept that which comes to us. After we have done our best, do your best, leave the rest. திறம்பட முயற்சி எடுப்போமே. மகிழ்வாய் அனைத்தையும் ஏற்போமே. These are the qualities we need to imbibe for all of this to happen. Do your best, but accept that which comes back. This is so important, the concept of Nishkama Karma, which is part of Karma Yoga, which is the yoga of responsibility. Bringing into action that appropriate behavior. சிந்தை சொல் செயலும் ஒன்றாய் விளங்கிடவே வாழ்வோமே. Whatever we think, that should come through our words. That which comes through our words should come into our action. Thought, word, action should be integrated. சிந்தை சொல் செயலும் ஒன்றாய் விளங்கிடவே வாழ்வோமே. சிந்தை சொல் செயலும் ஒன்றாய் விளங்கிடவே வாழ்வோமே. And then தீதும் நன்றும் பிறர் தரவா நோதலும் தணிதலும் அவற்றோரன்ன. Remember Purananuru, Kanayan Punkodayan verses, Thidum Nandrum Pirar Taravara. The bad and the good don't come from outside. Both suffering and the amelioration of suffering are deep within us. These concepts have come into this. சிந்தை சொல் செயலும் ஒன்றாய் விளங்கிடவே வாழ்வோமே. தீதும் நன்றும் பிறதவா நோதலும் தணிதலும் அவற்றோரன்ன சதி பதுவே அவன் கடன் சாதி பதுவே நம் கடன் சோதி பதுவே அவன் கடன் சாதி பதுவே நம் கடன் சாதி பதுவே நம் கடன். What is our responsibility? To overcome all the obstacles, to pass with flying colors all the tests that are thrown to us by the universe by saying, give me more. Make me a better me. May I grow through the testing. The testing phase is the most important phase where we are refined. It is the universe checking, are you worthy? Do you have that yogyata? You want Atma Darshana, are you having the yogyata for it? You want Kaivalya, do you have the worthiness for it? That is the test that is coming. The moment we say, oh, I don't want to be tested, you are not going to ever grow. You are not going to be growing. And it is our responsibility to grow. The responsibility, once we are born human, the responsibility is to be human and manifest the humane qualities and grow into our divine nature. That is where yoga comes in. Yoga comes in enabling us to understand that the responsibility is something which is an opportunity for growth. Every time we have an opportunity for responsibility in our life, it is an opportunity to grow into a better version of ourselves. Let us accept responsibility. Don't take more than your capacity, of course, which is where again Viveka comes in. Viveka is telling you this much is your responsibility. What is your responsibility? Well, as I said, in different phases of your life, it's going to be different. On different days, it's going to be different. Can we understand what is our responsibility? What is our role? How to fulfill that role? And always remember appropriateness. The key to responsibility, the key to dharma is appropriateness. What is the appropriate response to this situation? What is the appropriate response that I need to put into thought, word, and action? The moment we start this Atma Vichara, the moment we start this self-reflection, we go into a stage of self-reflective learning, which is Swadhyaya. And the more we go into this, and the more we put it into action, the more we take responsibility, stand up to be counted, well then we start to grow in spirit. This is the message I wanted to share with you today, our 76th scintillating Saturday, which happens to be Christmas Day in this part of the world, Christmas Eve for some of you in North America, and late afternoon Christmas Day for some of you down under and in the Kiwi land. Let us all grow together. Let us realize that we are born human not by accident. To be born human is not an accident. It is an opportunity. Can we take that opportunity of being human to manifest the humane qualities? May we take that opportunity to grow into our divine nature, living dharma, fulfilling ourselves through artha kama, and attaining that highest state of spiritual fulfillment and abundance, moksha. May we all be worthy of these teachings. May we all have the humility to accept the challenges that life gives us. Some days we may not be up to the mark. It is okay. There'll always be a second chance. And let's take those chances. Let us grow. Let us grow and enable others to grow. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dhanyavadaha. Grazie. Nandri. Vanakkam.